Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So as you can tell from the title, I went through a breakup about 2 weeks ago and it's pretty fresh. We got some tea, and if you aren't following me on my Instagram at FlawlessKevin, you probably are missing out on the boy stories, okay? But don't you worry, I'm gonna catch you all up with this video. Let's just say that this is my all too well Kevin's version, 1 hour version. I actually don't know how long this video is gonna be from the closet. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and maybe this will empower you to leave someone for someone better, because we don't settle and we deserve the best. But without further ado, let's get into the boy story. So to preface, I have never dated anyone before. I have had things with guys before and I've done YouTube videos about them. Link will be in the description down below if you want to hear more boy stories from me. But I recently bought this house and just moved in about a year ago, and when I did move in, I was like, well, I'm in a new area. Let's scout the scene. So of course, as an LGBT person, I had to download The Grind, if you know what I'm talking about. Literally, probably 2 weeks after I move in, this guy, he hits me up and I'm over here like, oh, he's cute, he's tall, he's mixed. I'm living for it, okay? 6'1" and super strong. We start talking a little bit before Thanksgiving and we start getting to know each other a little bit, and I like to get to know someone a little bit before I meet up with a stranger because you never know, could be a little sketch. Be safe out there, y'all. Literally on Thanksgiving Day, he texts me Happy Thanksgiving and I'm like, we haven't even met yet, but he was like, Happy Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet and thoughtful. And that's how I knew he was a really nice person. We didn't end up meeting until probably December 1st. And so we met up to, you know, do the diddly-do as what the grind is meant for. And when I say I have never been worshipped the way that I have been with this man, the first time, woo! He just blew all of the other guys out of the water. It was magical, it was fantastical, it was one for the history books, y'all. I have never been touched and changed the way that I've been with this man. In that moment, we both knew, ooh, we have to make this a weekly thing. And so we started seeing each other once a week on a Tuesday. And honestly, I look forward to it every week. By the third hangout, we were like, okay, let's be exclusive to each other because it's just so good. Like, why bother being with other people? And it's obviously safer that way. And on this hangout, he actually ended up telling me his real name. So for 2 weeks, I was thinking that this guy's name was something else, but then he was like, hey, Kevin, I have to tell you something and be honest. I was like, oh, what's he gonna tell me? I literally was like, oh, he's gonna tell me that he likes me. I'm like, this is a little fast, dude. But no, he's like, my real name isn't this, it's this. I'm like, oh. He says that his reasoning was because obviously we're strangers, he doesn't know who to trust, and he's had instances in the past where it was really hard for him to trust people. So it made total sense, was so valid, and I was really glad that he brought it up pretty soon and not like a year after the fact. But that was a moment where I was like, wow, he really trusts me and he really likes me enough to like be honest with me. So we continued this friends with benefits situation for a few months, and after a few months, we get to a point where we actually start catching feelings for each other, because it takes a lot, and I mean a lot, for me to like someone. Like, I feel like in high school, you can like somebody by literally just the way that they look, and you've never hung out with them. Has anyone had that experience before? So at this point, I was like, okay, let's like talk about where we're at, you know what I mean? Like, what page are we on? What are we? That talk. He goes, well, I'm not in the right mindset and place in my life right now for a relationship. I really do enjoy what we're having. And I said, honestly, likewise. If you're not ready for a relationship, I'm not gonna force that, I'm not gonna push that, that's fine. I also don't wanna be in a relationship with a guy that's not ready. So I was like, let's just continue what we have. After some time, we started getting feelings for each other, and I wanted to do something nice for him. And so he had a hard work week, and so I ended up doing like a spa day for him, and I had like face mask, I massaged him. It was like such a cute moment. Like, I did a charcuterie board and everything, and like, He did not deserve that. There was even another time where I ended up buying 2 Hunter x Hunter t-shirts because he was the one that suggested me to watch it, and we started watching it together. And I was a huge fan of that show, and I ended up buying 2 graphic tees just because I wasn't sure what size I wanted, and so I ended up giving him the spare one just out of the goodness of my heart. There was also another day where he also had another hard day at work, and so I was like, oh my god, like let me surprise you with a movie night. And so I told him if he could stay over a little bit longer, and so he did. And I remember after doing, you know, what we do, I tell him, I'm like, okay, like it's movie night. He goes, ooh, it's getting a little late. And I'm like, oh, well, if you have to go, then I'd rather have you leave now than like halfway into the movie, you know? And he goes, ooh, okay, I'll stay. And so we come down and I surprise him with a popcorn machine, and he goes, ooh. That's when he realizes, oh, he's gonna be here for a moment. And then he says, Kevin, I actually have to go to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna leave. In that moment, I was like, are you serious, dude? Like, oh my goodness, like making me like do all of this for you. And then I end up crying, and I was just like, I need to stop doing such nice things for dudes that can't reciprocate or appreciate the gesture. It was just weird because I gave him the opportunity to be like, you know, if you need to leave, then leave, or like, no, we don't have to do this. It's a two-way street, so he could have easily communicated that as well if it was like too much for him or whatever. But honestly, I was a little offended that he said that he would stay, and then literally not even after the fact he said he couldn't. I touched base on so many love languages, y'all, like gift giving, acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, and that was like the first instance where I was like, I don't like that. It wasn't until my birthday in May, so we met December, so now it's May, that I was like, hey, so it's my birthday, let's go do something different. I suggested that we go out on a little dinner date, and he, oh my goodness. Mind you, he hasn't been in a relationship in a very long time. And like, it didn't necessarily have to be like a date. I just wanted to do something different from, you know, spending time in my house. And so I was like, why not get some birthday dinner for me? So for my birthday dinner, I was expecting lighthearted conversations, a good time. But he starts like opening up to me and being super vulnerable, trauma dumping, and I wasn't expecting to have a somber time. But you know, the fact that he was vulnerable and open and comfortable enough to share such personal information with me really meant a lot. So the fact that he opened up to me, it was like, wow, he really must like me. And so I asked him, I was like, so like on a scale of like 1 to 10, how much do you like me? And he's like, probably a 6 out of 10. And I was like, that's pretty high, not gonna lie. And so I asked him, I was like, oh, so like, do you want to, you know, maybe take a step into that direction? And he says, I don't know, I gotta think about it. And it was just really confusing after this point because I was like, why is he opening up to me so much? You know, as a FWB, like we're supposed to just hang out and do the deed and that's it. And so for him to be so open and vulnerable and like take me out for dinner and tell me that he likes me, but he doesn't want to progress, I'm like, that's like messing with my mind. I understand that he's not in the right headspace and situation in his life for a relationship right now. He just started going to therapy, which proud of him. But at this point, like feelings were getting involved, and I was like torn between like actually wanting to take the next step because we're both having such personal feelings and emotions. But then at the same time, it's like, we know that this isn't good, so let's try to like pull back. So it was just like tug of war during like this era. Literally, Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, her album came out, and I was like, this girl, like, she made me in my feels. There was a moment where I poured a glass of wine, and I was like crying to the album because of this, and oh, I don't want to relive that. Eventually, we came to a point where we said, hey, let's set boundaries. So we told each other that we're not gonna hang out outside of the house anymore and do anything cute like that. And if we're doing anything, it's gonna be inside my house. And so we agreed upon that. And from that moment, it was good and dandy. We were having such a good time. There were moments throughout the year where he would like cancel for valid reasons, like he was physically ill, he had to cover someone's shift, he wanted to take like a mental health day. There weren't any major problems because at the end of the day, he was a nice guy. He just had a lot on his plate and he didn't know how to sort out his schedule and time management and all that stuff. After we set boundaries, we had a really good summer, y'all. Like, there was no drama, no need to have certain talks or conversations, and like, it was just a summer fling, and I was into it, girl. It wasn't until recently within the past month where issues started to arise again. And so I was like, okay, well, there was that one instance with the movie night where he said that he would stay and then he just said, just kidding. There was that instance where he was like being so open and vulnerable, telling me that he likes me, but he wasn't ready for a relationship. And then like just giving me mixed feelings and like kind of in a sense leading me on. I was like, well, there was that. And now 3 strikes, you're out, boy. I will say I was really patient with this dude now that I think about it, because there were so many instances where he would just like annoy me, or I would have to take charge and control the relationship in a sense because he didn't take agency or initiative to be like, no, you know what I mean? Because he would be like, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship. Okay, but it's like, why are you doing relationship things? You know what I mean? I would have to be the one to put this halt on that. So it wasn't until this past month where the main issues and the last straw arose and I was just like over it. He's basically notorious for canceling, as I mentioned. There are times that he would, but he canceled 3 weeks in a row. And I'm just like, okay, if this were a friend, which he is a friend, I wouldn't even want to hang out with you at that point. So he canceled 1 week, whatever. He canceled the next week because he was like hungover, and I was just like, dude, like if you knew you were gonna see me on a Tuesday, like why weren't you like mindful of how much you drank? Whatever, you physically cannot see me, so whatever. He ended up actually taking a day off to see me on a Thursday, which was nice, but wasn't necessary if you had managed everything well, but I appreciate it. We ended up having a conversation that day, so that's when I told him, I said, hey dude, like, I just feel like it's really one-sided and all I'm asking for is time and effort. You say that you like me and you know, want to see me and you care about me, but it doesn't feel that way. Mind you, this was a month ago, so it's been basically a year since we started hanging out. And so I feel like our dynamic was so much past the FWB thing. And so I just felt like my time wasn't being respected. I felt like he wasn't being mindful of it because I work from home, but at the same time, like I was the one readjusting and rechanging my schedule and being flexible, adhering to him. The last straw was literally not even a week after we had that conversation on the Thursday that he took the day off, was the next Tuesday where we were supposed to see each other, and you would think that he would see me because we just had a talk and he canceled on me 2 weeks in a row. This is when he canceled the 3rd week in a row. He goes, Kevin, I'm sorry, I hate to do this, especially after our conversation on Thursday, but I have to help my brother do his homework. I'm over here like, homework? Like, can you not see me at all? Like, it's not like you're physically ill, it's not like you're covering someone's shift, you're not taking a mental health day. Like, dude, I was like, can't you just see me afterwards? And he goes, well, if I do see you afterwards, it would be after 10 p.m. because they do live an hour away, and so I wanna make the drive worth it. And I'm over here like, after 10 p.m.? Like, what in your right mind thinks that that's respectful? Like, when has he ever seen me after 10 p.m.? I was like, what time do you plan on seeing him? He was like, at 2 p.m. And I'm like, why do you have to stay that long? Like, I doubt it would take more than an hour to help your brother with his homework. I've been nothing but understanding to this guy, and the fact that he couldn't like leave after helping to see me when he says he likes me and wants to see me just didn't make sense. His words and actions didn't align, and that was a huge turnoff to me because he would say, I like you, I want to see you, but it didn't feel like that because it's like, how are you gonna say that stuff, but you're gonna see me after 10 p.m. I'm not asking to be the center of your universe, but I would at least like to be treated as a priority on this specific day just because of how things played out in the past. And so I was just really offended, and I said, you know what, let's just cancel since you seem very busy. This was also when Taylor Swift re-released Red, Taylor's version, and I was just like in the feels. It was my all too well moment. I literally had the whole week until the next Tuesday to really think about what my needs were and what I deserved, and I ended up crying that day and then the next day, and I really came to the decision that I had to walk away from this guy that was just so inconsistent and not serving me. I honestly wasn't asking for a relationship. I'm not asking for dates. I literally am just asking for your time and effort. And so he would always flake or cancel and say these things that don't line up with his actions. And so I was just tired. I was like giving, and like I was like really empty at one point. And at one point I was like, maybe I shouldn't be giving so much, so I didn't. But even then, he couldn't give the bare minimum. I'm like, dude, I literally just want you to like show up. Like, it's one thing if he canceled and this was a one-off thing, but this was 3 weeks in a row. So I was just like, dude. And I've been nothing but understanding and flexible this whole time, and he couldn't even leave early to see me. So I said, Kim Tae-young, where you at? So the next following Tuesday, I said, hey, come over, we should talk. And that's when I said, I think it's best if we spend time apart to work on ourselves. And he agreed, and it was a really sad but mature and bittersweet breakup. I've never had a breakup with someone like this before, and like I know we didn't really date, but like hey, it's been a year-long relationship at that point. Like I considered that a breakup. We were with each other for some time, and we were just reminiscing through the past year and like reflecting on our memories and what our favorite things about each other were. He said that he loved my personality and that I was the coolest person he's ever met. It was just so sweet. Like his intentions were pure. Like he wasn't a bad person. He just was in a bad place to treat me the way that I needed to be treated. When we said our goodbye, he like whispered in my ear. I don't remember exactly what he said. I wish I remembered, but it was something like, Kevin, your soul is beautiful inside and out, or something like that. You are beautiful inside and out. And I was just like, and I said, goodbye. I hope you remember us all too well. Yes, I said that. The minute I closed the door, I literally went, literally out of a movie, out of a Taylor Swift song. I was like, oh my God, like the emotions just came out of nowhere. I mean, came from somewhere, but literally on my front door, I just like sit there and I cried for like 20 minutes, and I was genuinely heartbroken that day. Ooh, honestly, it was kind of a moment to have that kind of experience. I can at least like check that off my bucket list. Is that weird? But after that breakup and after some time and reflecting on our relationship, I really do genuinely had a love for him. I wasn't in love with him, but there was a type of love there. Because I really did care about his mental health, and I did want him to get better as a person and in his personal and professional life. Because at the end of the day, like we were friends and we would like catch up and tell each other about our lives and our families and stuff like that. And we would see each other every single week. He even knew about my husband Kim Taehyung, which by the way, when I first met him, his hair was like slicked back. And then when I told him that I loved Taehyung, he like changed his hair to like have that middle part Korean like drama Taehyung hair swoop. And I was like, woohoo, my impact. I told him if he ended up in a place where he was genuinely happy and at peace, then feel free to like reach out again, because to me, I feel like the door is closed, but it's not locked. I just feel like he needs to spend time to work on himself, because clearly he doesn't have time for me, which is not that much. Like if you don't want to see me every week, then say that too, you know what I mean? He could have said that, but I don't know. He just also had a hard time communicating, and I would have to talk for him sometimes, and so I didn't like that as well. But for now, I'm just gonna take this time for me, myself, and Taehyung, and just, you know, focus on me and my friends and family, especially during the holidays, and recuperate for next year for work and all that stuff. I think what I've learned from this relationship is that how much of a lover and a giver and how generous I can be. The fact that I was able to touch base on a lot of different love languages for this person really shows that I feel like I'm ready for that next chapter of my life for someone that is deserving of that. I also learned what I need, and I just need time and effort in someone that loves themselves and is passionate about what they do. Like that's it, honestly. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care, you know, what you do. It's just, I just am looking for equal effort in communication and self-love. I will say that I'm surprised at how long it lasted for it being the situation that it was, like meeting on the grind, being an FWB. But I feel like a lot of it had to do with us setting boundaries and me realizing like when to pull back and when to like not do these cutesy spa dates or movie nights anymore, and be like, okay, like let's draw the line here. Honestly, it could have been a really good, fun FWB relationship for a long time if he just showed up and was respectful of my time. That was it. Like, but alas, on to the next. So right now in this current moment, I might be okay, but I'm not fine at all. Just kidding. But no, I'm okay. But I will say there's moments where I do miss him, which is really hard because you're like, no, it's not good for you. He's just saying these things and he doesn't actually show up. And when he does, it's not consistent. So Kevin, no. One of my favorite memories with him was just watching anime and like Demon Slayer and cuddling and ordering takeout, and honestly, it was cute. Like, it wasn't like a date, and it's probably something friends with benefits shouldn't do, but like, it was cute. initially his definition of friends with benefits was so far off from mine, and so he was like, oh yeah, like I had friends with benefits before. I was like, oh, like what was that like? What did you guys do? And he was like, oh, like we would go out to LA and we'd go out to eat and have a day in the fashion district, blah 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 blah. And I'm over here like, girl, at that point that is a relationship, that is a date. He's over here wanting a relationship type relationship without the commitment and titles, and I'm over here like, dude, you can't have your cake and eat it too, honey. I thought I was different, but obviously not. And so I had to show him that this was not okay by setting boundaries. Because my definition of FWB is literally you show up, we do the deed, the diddly do, and then you go home, and then you hit me up when you're free and you want to do it again, okay? But I don't know, like our relationship just evolved into something more, but honestly not complaining because it was a good time. Let me know if anyone else can relate to this situation, or if you have any boy stories that you want to share, let us know in the comments. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you enjoyed. I got some tea, because those of you who've been caught up on my Instagram stories, you're welcome. Remember y'all, how you gonna love someone else if you don't love yourself? And I feel like that was the case with him, and so I'm just gonna set him free, because you know what they say, if you love someone, let them go. So I'm gonna let him go. Work on you, boo, and if you were meant to be, it will be. But yes, I hope you all had fun listening to my boy story. I have plenty more in the playlist linked in the description down below. Be sure to go and follow me on my Instagram at FlawlessKevin if you wanna maybe see more potential boy stories for next year. I don't freaking know. Protect your heart, know what you deserve, never settle, love yourself, and remember everyone, to be flawless is to be yourself. Bye!